Hello, I'm Chrissy Seaton. Welcome to my channel and thank you to my subscribers. Today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about knowing ourselves. What sort of guidelines do we use in understanding and gaining knowledge? So our knowledge and understanding, or lack thereof it, as the case can be, it does affect our behaviours. So, in other words, our exterior presentation, our behaviours, our mannerisms, our actions, etc., they are a reflection of our interior, our inner self, the essence of who we as an individual are. So, we need to prompt ourselves occasionally or often, as the case can be, and ask that difficult question to ourselves, is my behaviour dignified and righteous? What is my inner values and knowledge? How much understanding do I have? Is that knowledge and understanding reflected in my behaviour for the good and not for the bad? So, how do we place a sort of a framework around that? And that's what I want to talk to you about, because we actually have a code of ethics and morality for all mankind to live by. And they are 7 universal principles for all mankind, which allows the whole of mankind, nations and peoples, to live together in a dignified, righteous and a harmonious manner. So these principles, these guidelines, they have been given to us from God. They've been given to all mankind. They were given back, the first one that started back in the Garden of Eden. And some of you would know what these universal principles are for us. Others may not. And it has occurred to me that it does need a simple explanation so people understand correctly what it is about. So these 7 universal principles ordained by God for all mankind have come to be known commonly at times as the 7 Noahide Laws, or 7 universal principles, the laws of Noah. So I am going to just briefly explain to you what they are. It has occurred to me that in all the videos that I've done, I've probably never read the list out that I can recall. I may have. But anyway, for what it's worth, I'm going to let you know what these 7 Noahide laws are and where you can obtain a copy of all the relevant information about them, because I will leave a link in the description box below for you to follow up and check out what I'm speaking about today. So it says quite clearly that the 7 Noahide commandments are given by God to all mankind. Now that's both Jews and Gentiles alike. Without these 7 universal ethical codes, it is impossible for nations and societies to live in a harmonious relationship. So let's just get on here and briefly I will explain what these 7 Noahide laws are. Now the first one, it says, do not profane God's oneness in any way. And this is reflected in Genesis chapter 2 verse 16. Acknowledge that there is one true God. Do not worship idols or make new religions. Number 2, do not curse your God. This is taken from Leviticus chapter 24 verses 10 to 17. Respect God and do not curse God, meaning respect God and praise him. Number 3, do not murder or injure. So this is from Genesis chapter 9, verse 6. Defend and respect the sanctity of human life, and this includes the prohibition of abortion on demand and euthanasia. So murder covers a lot of topics. So does the next one. Number 4, do not steal or extort. This is found in Genesis chapter 2, verses 16 to 17, and chapter 21 of Genesis, verse 25. And it says, respect the property of others. Ensure that the benefits you receive are not at the unfair expense of someone else. So this covers not just outright robbery, but it covers all sorts of things, such as kidnapping even. That's considered theft. You're thieving someone's body. Number 5, it says, do not have forbidden relationships. Now, God has defined marriage and family unit as the foundation of human society. Incest, rape, adultery, and homosexual relations are forbidden. Now, the text is derived from Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, Genesis chapter 19, verses 29 to 36, Genesis chapter 20, verse 13, and Leviticus chapter 18, verse 3, and again Leviticus chapter 18, verse 30. Now, number 6 says, establish courts of law and ensure justice in our world. Justice is the foundation of true peace in our world. The 7 Noahide Laws are established by our government for our country's stability and harmony. These laws were communicated by God to Adam and Noah, ancestors of all human beings. These laws are universal for all times, all places, and all peoples. And that is in Genesis chapter 9, verse 6. Now, the last one, number 7, this was given to Noah by God after he exited the ark, after the great flood. So hence why it's often referred now to as the 7 Noahide Laws. The 7th universal commandment was given to Noah, and hence the name Noahide Laws. So number 7 says, do not eat meat taken from a still living animal. Now this also covers things such as avoiding cruelty to animal, looking after your environment, etc. And that is taken from Genesis chapter 9, verse 4. Now that is a very, very, very brief explanation of those laws. But it occurred to me that probably some of you, if you're new to my channel, may have some confusion or wonder what this is about, or what these actual laws are. So it's prudent also to say that these 7 universal commandments or codes of ethics are they're sort of 7 categories of law, and they branch out into other individual prohibitions and laws, etc. So there is debate to the exact number of laws, but it would depend on how you divide those categories and the associated principles. But there's roughly, we will say, an average of approximately 70 laws that are derived from those 7 original universal commandments given by God. Now the important thing to remember is not only were these first 6 given to Adam, but the 7th given to Noah, but also these laws were reinstated and reaffirmed again at Mount Sinai when the giving of the Torah was given to the Jewish people. So they're not and forgotten. They have remained in existence since the Garden of Eden. So why are they called the 7 Noahide laws? Well, that means that the 7 principles are called exactly that, the 7 laws, because they are the heritage of our humanity from our oldest ancestors, as I've explained, Adam and Noah. Now, who keeps these laws? Well, very simple answer. We all should be keeping these laws, all of mankind. There's no one needs to convert to a special religion or a particular church or synagogue, organisation, etc. It is, however, important that we keep these 7 biblical laws of Noah because it is God's commandment to us. That is what he expects us to do. It's not a choice, really. We must live by that. And when you understand these 7 principles, you will understand, of course, we could say quite easily, well, they make common sense. Well, yes, they do in a way. They seem to be very common sense. But the important thing is that we must keep them, not just because they're common sense, but because God commanded us to do so. So if we keep these 7 Noahide laws because God commands us to do so, regardless of our race, nationality or culture, we are then considered to be a righteous person, and so we are able and granted a place in the world to come. So that's very important that we understand that. Now, just moving along from that, of course, people who are aware of the Noahide laws and been practicing and keeping them for some time, some of them will have little prayer books. This is a little one I've got. There'll be a link in the description box where you can acquire this little booklet. It's called Prayers, Blessings and Principles of Faith for Divine Service. And there are 2 little prayers here that I just would like to read because I think they are very special and I want to leave you with something to contemplate on. And these are especially for Noahides. Well, they're for all mankind, but they're in our book. Our Father, merciful Father, who is compassionate, have mercy on us and grant our heart understanding to comprehend and to discern, to perceive, to learn and to teach, to observe, to practice, and to fulfill your will with love. Enlighten our eyes in your wisdom. Cause our hearts to cleave to your 7 commandments and unite our hearts to love and fear your name. And may we never be put to shame, disgrace, or stumbling, because we trust in your holy, great, and awesome name. May we rejoice and exult in your salvation. Lord our God, may your mercy and your abounding kindness never, never forsake us. There's another small prayer that I will leave you with as well out of this same booklet, prayer booklet. And this is about verbally accepting God's unity and his kingship. And it says, Almighty God, we accept upon ourselves that which is written in your Torah. You shall know this day and take to your heart that God alone is God, in the heavens above and on the earth below. There is none other. We affirm the precepts of, you shall love God your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your might, and fear God your God and serve him. And in his name alone shall you vow. And as it says, fear God and keep his commandments, for that is a person's entire duty. So I hope that I have explained ever so briefly, I realise, but just to give you a concept of how we can all live a righteous and individual life with God. God dwells amongst us. Check our behaviour. Are we following those 7 universal principles for a righteous individual? Is our external behaviour a reflection of how we are within, how we think within, how we behave, and how we treat others. And these laws encompass that kindness, mercy, and justice always. So it is important, and I know sometimes we read articles about the Noahide Laws, and you know, where they get this rubbish from, I'll never know. But anyway, there's people out there that criticise us, but it is important to understand and read for yourself. As I said, there will be in the description box, I will leave some links for you to follow up so that you can find out more about how these laws came about, where they appear in the Bible, and what they actually mean. So there's no confusion then about whether these laws exist or not. So having said that, again, thank you for watching my channel. And just to let you know, subscribers, I think we've got about 590 subscribers now, which I think is wonderful. And I thank you so sincerely from my heart. And I do hope that more people will consider subscribing. Also, just in the background is a copy of my book I've released just recently called God and Cat Whiskers. And there is also a video on that on YouTube. So you can go and watch that video if you haven't already done so. But in the meantime, I want you all to please take care and God bless you.